Hey Donna, as you head over to your seats, this is going to be kind of like a reverse offering. Pass out some of these quarters to people so they can see what the heck I'm talking about. Earlier in the service, we told the children's story about why we danced the Maypole. I hope you enjoyed it. That's also your instructions for dancing, just a few moments in the afternoon. But look, the moral of the story was interdependence and plurality. We weave that pattern only because many people move together and also because not everyone moves the same way. The dance only works because the difference is coordinated rather than erased. And speaking of different parts to play, we have members of the worship team who have volunteered to help me call the quarters. In our pagan study group, we practice calling the quarters by orienting ourselves to the four directions, grounding ourselves in the four elements, and paying attention to the four seasons turning through the wheel of the year. The east is the direction of breath, intellect, and insight. It is the direction of air. It is the sunrise, awakening, the gift of seeing clearly. So today, in calling the quarter of the east, we honor someone who quite literally rose above the horizon, Dr. Sally Ride. The first American woman to fly into space, Sally Ride became an icon almost instantly. The United States Mint now honors her on quarters as a part of the American Women's Quarter program, which celebrate the women whose lives changed the country. In other words, the women who inspire change have now become change in circulation. During previous May Day services, we honor Dr. Mary Edwards Walker and Dr. Vera Rubin. Walker was a Civil War surgeon, a Medal of Honor recipient, and a dress reform advocate. Rubin was an astronomer whose work on galaxy rotation provided crucial evidence for dark matter. This year, astronaut Sally Ride.
Not to be Sally rude, but I'm going to interrupt you. I didn't have any dreams about being an astronaut at all. And I don't understand that because as soon as the opportunity was open to me, I jumped at it. I instantly realized that it was what I really wanted to do. I took all the science classes I could.
Did you have any heroes growing up?
I had both male and female heroes. Because I was a tennis player, Billie Jean King was a hero of mine. And the early astronauts, John Glenn and Neil Armstrong, they were heroes of mine too.
Sally was almost a professional tennis player, but she chose physics over the clay courts and became the first American woman in space. History is weird like that. Ride also lived with the consequences of heterosexism. Only her obituary revealed that Tam O'Shaughnessy, her partner of 27 years, survived her. Why was her loving relationship with a fine woman something to cover up with a space blanket?
Did you ever feel like you were discriminated against at NASA because you are a woman?
No, I didn't. The astronauts who came in with me, my astronaut class, were called the TFNG guys, 35 new guys. We had 29 men and 6 women. Those men were very well used to working with women, so there was no problem really. But the bad moments I did have in training pretty much involved the press.
The press?
Yeah, whereas NASA appears to be very enlightened about flying women astronauts, the press doesn't appear to be so. The things they were concerned about were not the same things that concerned me. Just about every interview I got asked about bathroom facilities. And everybody wanted to know what kind of makeup I was taking on board. They didn't care about how well prepared I was to operate the arm or deploy communication satellites.
Did NASA try to prepare you at all for the press and the pressure?
Unfortunately, no, they didn't, no. In my case, they took a graduate student in physics who spent her whole life in the basement of a physics department with oscilloscopes and suddenly put me in front of the press. I wish two of us had gone up together. I think it would have been a lot easier.
What do you suppose are the dumbest kinds of questions you've been asked?
Oh, without a doubt, the worst question I've gotten was whether I cried when we got malfunctions in the simulator. And no, I didn't cry.
As many as you know, being first is often less glamorous than commemorative quarters might make it seem. Sally was asked questions such as,
will spaceflight affect your reproductive organs? What do you do when you get your in space? Is 100 tampons enough for 1 week?
Male engineers were trying to determine how many tampons should be packed for women for a space shuttle flight. It was like unreeling a string of sausages. Tampon, 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 tampon. There were like 100. And they said, is that enough? It was hysterical, but I gained my composure and I replied with controlled emotion, just like someone who does drills for rocket crashes. No, that would not be the right number. You can cut that in half with no problem at all. And the engineer replied,
well, we want to be safe.
You know, that's typical NASA nerd behavior. Calculate for the worst case, maximum theoretical usage, plus redundancy, plus safety margin. Because space has no gravity to pull fluids in a general downward direction, women who menstruate in orbit have problems with leakage. So men, with the medical understanding of menstrual blood movement, decided to take the maximum amount they imagined a woman with a heavy period could need in a week. How many tampons or pads would be used in 5 or 7 days of heavy flow? Multiply that by 2, then add 50% more for safety.
What about your feelings during the launch? Was there any time that the enormity of what was going on came over you?
The moment of the launch, when the engines actually ignited and the solid rockets lit everyone, all of the crew was for seconds just overcome about what was about to happen to us.
Just watching the launch outdoors, there were people with tears streaming down their faces, people moved by the human audacity of it.
When you see the long trail of flame, and then imagine there are really people inside that, that's really something. Inside, of course, you don't see the long trail of flame, and what you're feeling really is more of an exhilaration. But we were able to overcome being overcome and do the things that we were supposed to do. During the mission itself, I used the space shuttle's robot arm to release a satellite into orbit. I also operated several experiments, mostly ones to study the Earth. We carried high-resolution cameras, radar, and did experiments to study the Earth's atmosphere.
What did you do in space when you weren't doing experiments or working?
Well, we spend an awful lot of our time working and doing experiments. But when I wasn't working, I was usually at a window looking down on Earth. I remember floating over to the window for the first time, looking toward the horizon, and seeing a very thin royal blue line all the way across the horizon. It looked like someone had taken a blue pencil and outlined the Earth. Then I realized the blue line was the Earth's atmosphere. It was memorable because it was obvious then how fragile and delicate our environment atmosphere is. There just isn't very much of it, but it sure is important.
That view is now engraved literally on the Sally Ride quarter. A woman at a window to the world. The inscription E plurimis unum, out of many, one, is intentionally positioned over the Earth. That matters because countless astronauts describe the same thing. Seeing Earth from space changes them. The term for this is the overview effect, coined by author Frank White. It describes the cognitive shift astronauts experience when they see Earth from outside it. From orbit, borders disappear. Political arguments vanish. Religious divisions dissolve. The whole wonderful, fragile world hangs there, a pale blue dot in the dark. No red states or purple states, no property lines, no battle lines, just one small, radiant biosphere suspended in blackness.
But explain to me what the overview effect is.
You know, it is absolutely gorgeous. Overview effect is when you're looking through that cupola, it's like the bay window looking down on the Earth, and you see just that, the Earth as it exists with the whole universe in the background. You see the thin blue line of the atmosphere, and then when you're on the dark side of the Earth, you actually see this very thin green line that shows you where the atmosphere is. And what you realize is every single person you know is sustained and inside of that green line, and everything else outside of it is completely inhospitable. You don't see borders, you don't see religious lines, you don't see political boundaries. All you see is Earth, and you see that we're way more alike than we are different.
Before the Columbia disaster, shuttle astronaut Laurel Clark sent home a similar message from orbit.
Hello from above our magnificent planet Earth. The perspective is truly awe-inspiring. I've seen some incredible sights. Lightning spreading over the Pacific. The aurora lighting up the entire visible horizon with the city glow of Australia below. The crescent moon setting over the limb of the Earth. The vast plains of Africa. Rivers breaking through tall mountain passes. The scars of humanity, the continuous line of life extending from North America through Central America into South America. Mount Fuji looked like a small bump from up here, but it does stand out as a very distinct landmark. Magically, the very first day we flew over Lake Michigan, and I saw Wind Point clearly. Every orbit we go over a slightly different part of the Earth. Whenever I get to look out, it is glorious. I hope you can feel the positive energy that beamed to the whole planet as we glided over our shared planet. Love to all, Laurel.
The reason Lake Michigan and Wind Point, Wisconsin was so important to Dr. Clark was because she and her family are members of the Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church in nearby Racine. This is the overview effect. That is the Maypole from orbit. And honestly, you do not have to be an astronaut to experience a version of it. Stare at the moon and the zodiac constellations long enough for your problems to become properly proportioned. That's the sermon, even if astronauts are unprepared for the mystic. Sally Ride herself once said,
I wouldn't even say that I'm spiritual. I honestly don't think about religion at all.
And Artemis astronaut Victor Glover agreed.
I think these observances are important, and as we are so far from Earth and looking back at, the beauty of creation, I think for me, one of the really important personal perspectives that I have up here is I can really see Earth as one thing. And when I read the Bible and I look at all of the amazing things that were done for us who were created, it's you have this amazing place, this spaceship. You guys are talking to us because we're in a spaceship really far from Earth, but you're on a spaceship called Earth that was created to give us a place to live in the universe, in the cosmos. Maybe the distance we are from you makes you think what we're doing is special, but we're the same distance from you, and I'm trying to tell you, just trust me, you are special. In all of this emptiness, this is a whole bunch of nothing, this thing we call the universe. You have this oasis, this beautiful place that we get to exist together. I think as we go into Easter Sunday, thinking about, all the cultures all around the world, whether you celebrate it or not, whether you believe in God or not, this is an opportunity for us to remember where we are, who we are, and that we are the same thing, and that we got to get through this together.
Captain Glover said the overview effect's potency is closely tied to the sea level effect. humanity's shared experience on Earth. You come back to sea level, and then you have a choice. Are you going to try to live your life a little differently? Are you going to really choose to be a member of this community on Earth? So here are 2 practical suggestions for the month of May.
First, help assemble travel care kits for emergency medical assistance. On May 1st, 2024, Florida law changed from 15 weeks to 6 weeks. Because of Florida's near total abortion ban, more women are having to travel to Baltimore, Washington, D.C., New York for out-of-state medical care. Like riding a rocket ship to outer space, the journey can be intimidating. It's more intimidating if you're a Southerner, if you've never left your community before and you're going up north. Throughout May, bring a donation item to contribute to the care kits. On May 24th, after our service, our Healing Justice will assemble the travel kits for women leaving the state for reproductive health care. Please channel your inner NASA engineer and oversupply accordingly, especially menstrual products. We've learned from history.
Second, seek your own overview effect. Just go outside tonight and look up. Use the star map in your order of service. Remember that outer space is not out there. We don't go into space. We are already in space. We have always been in space, and we will always be in space. It is as close as the quarters you hold in your hand. Nietzsche said something like, as long as you think of space as something out there, you miss the point and lack the true awareness of cosmic consciousness. And we are self-aware stardust. We are manifestations of the universe experiencing itself for the first time. We're living on a spaceship that is moving through the galaxy at a high rate of speed. Like Sally Ride, you ride through the cosmos right now on a very small blue spacecraft with everyone you love and everyone who annoys you. So try to behave accordingly to your fellow travelers.
So as we call the quarter of the East, may we receive its gift of insight. May we rise above clouds of confusion. May we see clearly. And may we remember, as above, so below.
As within, so without.
As the universe, so the soul.
Blessed be.